Hey guys, this is Calvin with Improver. This week, we're going to be talking about grasping the current condition. This is part 2 of a 4-part series that we're doing on improvement kata. If you haven't had a chance to read Toyota Kata by Mike Rother, I highly encourage you to go out and do that immediately. I've read it like 4, maybe 5 times already. Even did a book club on it once. In this video, we're going to be talking about what does it mean to grasp the current condition. Why is so important to do, what are some best practices for grasping the current condition, and we're going to share a few exclusive tips on getting better at grasping the current condition. First off, what does it mean to grasp the current condition? It means that you're developing a thorough understanding of what is happening in reality before you start actually making changes or improvements. The fact is, we all make assumptions. We all have biases. Sometimes we're aware of them, sometimes we're not. This is why it makes so much sense to make sure that you fully grasp the current condition before you try to enact a future condition. With that said, what are 3 characteristics of a current condition? Number 1, it shows a pattern. Number 2, it's measurable. And number 3, it's fact-based. Let's unpack each of those individually now. Shows a pattern. Why is it important to see a pattern? Because if you can see the pattern, if you can see a consistency of what happened in the past, it allows you to predict what's more likely to happen in the future. Obviously, it's not 100% prediction. Nobody has that gift, which I did. But the reality is, if you have a good understanding of what happened in the past, there's a good chance with a higher degree of confidence, you can predict what's likely to happen in the future. The other thing it does is if you can predict the future accurately, then you can preempt that future and create a trajectory or create a future that's more in line with what you envision. Number 2, measurable. We've all heard the expression, what gets measured gets managed. If you can't measure it, you probably can't manage it. And number 3, you're looking for a fact-based current condition. Reality tends to be consistent with other realities. If you're getting information, you're getting facts, you're getting details, and they don't seem to align with the things you do know, the other knowns that you have, then there's a chance you need to investigate further, try to fully understand the current condition. Why is it so important to fully grasp the current condition? Number 1, it validates the severity of the problem. It helps you to assess how big of a problem is this? Are there other problems that are way bigger? And how much time, effort, and other resources should we invest in solving the problem? What you don't want to develop is $1 million solution for a $10 problem. You want to scale the size of the solution to the size of the problem, and you also don't want to develop solutions that create other problems for you. Number 2, it enables more effective problem solving. Fully grasping the current condition helps you conduct better root cause analysis. It allows you to establish some of those critical cause and effect relationships so that you can start to get an understanding of, okay, how does what I'm seeing relate to other things that are happening in the business? It also gives you more upstream and downstream perspective. You want to understand how what's happening in process steps before are affecting the process step being investigated, and also how things that are going on here are affecting things further on downstream, just so you can establish some of those true cause and effect relationships. And also, you don't want to start making changes in the future. I mean, you're not at the problem solving phase yet. You're just analyzing, but you don't want to start making changes at this step that's going to have major implications and repercussions either upstream or downstream. You want to make sure you get the full perspective there. And number 3, helps you eliminate all your false assumptions and bias. Sometimes we know just enough to be dangerous. Secondly here, and just as important, is it helps you understand what's a realistic target condition, right? What is it that we can realistically achieve, and in what time frame can we achieve that? If your current condition is totally in chaos and shambles, then you might want to be a little more conservative on your target condition, like what you feel you can actually achieve in a given time frame. But if it's very stable, if it's very organized, if it's a good process that's already in place and mature, then perhaps you can be a little more ambitious on your target conditions because you got the environment to do that. I know what you're thinking. You're wondering, Calvin, what are some of the best practices in grasping the current condition? And I'm glad you asked. I was just about to tell you. When you're grasping the current condition, you want to gather a sufficient amount of both qualitative and quantitative information, facts, and data about the problem or about the area being addressed before you start making any improvements. I got 3 excellent practices to help you do that. The first one is go see for yourself. Seeing is believing. And there's a way that you see the world, a unique way that you see the world, that by you going to Gemba and seeing for yourself, you're going to see things that no one else can see. And obviously you're going to see things that data won't tell you. You're going to see things that people won't tell you over the phone, things you can't get in a 10, 15-minute conversation. Go see for yourself. The quality of information you gather from that type of experience is priceless. And when you go see, make sure you spend a sufficient amount of time at the Gemba. Going to see is a sampling of time. It's a snapshot in time. What you want to get is a sufficient amount of information. And how do you define sufficient? You're really looking at how much variation there is from output to output of the process you're looking to improve. The second thing is data analysis. The thing you want to get right here is to get a statistically significant sample size. Again, it's all based on the amount of variability in the process. If you got high degree of variability, high standard deviation, you need more data. You need more data points. When I was in school, they taught us, you wanted at least 30 samples, right? In general, generally speaking. Some cases that's not feasible. In some cases, it's easy to get months and months and months of data. The more, the better. The more data, the more realistic the output. But in general, you just want to make sure, hey, if there's a high degree of variability, you need more data points. If it's fairly consistent, fairly reliable, fairly predictable based on a small data set, then you have a high degree of confidence. You can get by with less data points. Second thing you want to do there, make it visual. By making things visual, by using Pareto charts, like the one you see here in the graphic, by using pie charts, by using trend charts, you can see the information in ways that you just wouldn't be able to see if you're just looking at a spreadsheet with tables and columns. Make the data visual. It makes things more clear. It also helps other people get on the same page as you because everybody's looking at something similar. The third technique I want to share with you here is interviewing people. You got to get close to the people that are close to the situation. They have the broadest real life experience data set for you to work with, and that data is stored in their minds. A lot of times we call that legacy knowledge. And the only way to tap into that database is by interviewing them. And you also want to get a broad perspective of people who might be connected to the situation or the area that you're looking to address. For example, you want folks from upstream, you want folks from downstream, you want support people, you want managers. And of course, if you got 3 or 4 people who do the same job, you want all 3 or 4 of them to get their input and understand what they're experiencing with the situation. A couple key points to call out here. The reason you want to do this and make sure that you're taking all 3 of these techniques and applying them to grasp the current situation is that you want to make sure you're addressing the right problem. You do not want to spend an absorbent amount of resources and time and effort just to find out later on that the thing you fixed is irrelevant. And it maybe even would have fixed itself if you would have addressed this other huge elephant in the room problem that's still out there and still causing damage to your business. Another key point here is that no one of these methods is sufficient. Going to Gemba is great. It's probably the best and most thorough way to do it. But without the data, without the historical, sometimes you can miss the cycles. And businesses operate in cycles, processes operate in cycles. Going to Gemba, getting a snapshot, there's a good chance you won't be able to spend the amount of time and amount of effort and notice every detail that's taking place. It's great to have data in place, great data systems in place, such as Improver, for example, that can give you a trend line for the last year or the last 6 months or the last quarter, so you can draw some more insights from that information as well. But again, data analysis alone won't give you the full picture, and neither will interviewing. You should do all 3. That gives you the 3-dimensional point of view that you need to fully grasp the current condition. Here's a little trick you can do. Assign a objective, completely unattached third party to go in and perform the investigation. Just see what they come up with. A lot of time, people who are attached to the problem tend to have some type of bias in place, or maybe have some other political motivations involved with their idea of this reality or this potential solution. Put a third party person in there, right? With no affiliations. Let them go in, let them assess the situation, and just see what they come up with. You'd be surprised at what they might find. Before we get out of here, I want to share a couple of tips with you to help you more effectively grasp the current condition. The first thing you need to do is assume you have bias. In fact, you can use this investigation, use this experience to uncover some of your own biases by forming a hypothesis before you go in. Write down what you think the problem is or what you think the current reality is before you actually go in and investigate the current condition. Second tip here, validate your findings before acting. After you perform your investigation of the reality, after you feel you fully grasp the current condition, you've gone to Gemba, you've analyzed the data, you've performed the interviews, you've talked to people. Now put all that information together, draw your conclusions about the reality of the current state, and then socialize it. Get folks involved with the process with their hands on it. Get the managers of the process involved, get the support teams involved, and just socialize what you found and see if their experience have been consistent with what you think is going on. And of course, the third tip here is don't forget to go and see for yourself. Don't take somebody else's word for it. You gotta go see for yourself. There is no substitute to your own experience of seeing it for yourself. Of course, the data and the interviews can help pressure test and help bring more context to what you saw, but there is no substitute to going and seeing for yourself. Again, this is Calvin L. Williams with Improver, encouraging you to learn, do, teach, and transform. If you like this video, you can find this one and more just like it at improver.com. That's IMPRUVER.com. Also, feel free to like, share, and comment below. And I look forward to engaging with you further on this topic. Otherwise, have a great day. Thank you.